One of the biggest questions in Viking history may have been solved by researchers at the University of Massachusetts.
You've heard of the Vikings, a seafaring people from what is now Scandinavia. They traveled a lot and eventually ended up in Greenland thanks to this guy.
Eric the Red, so he was thought to be the first person actually developed this eastern settlement in southern Greenland.
The eastern settlement started in 985.
The population peaked around 2,000 people and was pretty successful for about 400 years.
And unfortunately, this settlement was just vanished for some reason that people don't really understand.
How does an entire community disappear without a trace?
So one of the more popular theories that's been in the literature for a while is that there was a decline in temperature. So basically it got cold and then they left.
But this theory lacked direct evidence from where the settlement stood.
Climate can be variable over short distances. How close you are to the ocean or whether you're more inland can make a difference.
So a team of researchers set out for a lake near the site to try and solve the mystery of why the Vikings hightailed it out of southern Greenland. Just like scientists get a snapshot of past climate from layers of ice in the Arctic, they can piece the past together from layers of mud at the bottom of the lake. Those layers contain remains of organisms that lived in the water, along with pollen, oil, and wax washed in by rain.
So over time, all this material settles to the bottom of the lake, with the oldest material on the bottom and the youngest on the top. We just have, sediments or mud from the lake bottom going back in time.
Plant waxes allowed the scientists to look at changes in rainfall.
If you go to the grocery store and you look at a head of cabbage, you can often go up to this head of cabbage and if you touch it, you can literally wipe away some of these waxes.
All land plants are coated with this substance. It helps them retain moisture.
And that's how we got a record of drought.
Putting it all together,
if the temperature had dropped by several degrees, it could have made the climate very harsh and agriculture not possible. But at least from our site, our records show that there is some minor temperature variability, but it didn't drop by a large degree.
So that's why we argue drought played a more important role compared to temperature.
But it may not have simply been the drought that drove away the notoriously resilient Vikings.
After arriving in Greenland, the Vikings painstakingly removed shrubs and boulders to clear space to plant grass for livestock.
This landscape has just rocks. Just imagine the rockiest soil you can imagine, rocks of all sizes.
They can't really have, real food like wheat or other kind of grass stuff. They can only steal from grass.
That's during the warmer months.
Winter brings 1 to 2 months of total darkness, harsh temperatures, and ice-covered ground.
The sheep have to stay in the barn for the complete duration of the winter. It's just too cold and harsh there. There's no grass or anything for them to feed on.
By spring, the animals were often too weak and needed to be carried to the pastures. And that pattern continued year after year.
So any even just little pressure from climate change, either from temperature or from hydroclimate, would actually really hurt them.
Experts are concerned history may repeat itself.
That is one of the major concerns for the future, is trying to know and understand how rainfall patterns are going to shift with increasing temperatures, and what that means for things like agriculture and where we can grow our crops.